They may have been small steps for man, but they were giant leaps for mankind.
The Eagle has landed.
Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're looking at some important firsts in space exploration during the 20th century and beyond.
2, 1, and liftoff. Liftoff of the 25th Space Shuttle mission, and it has cleared the tower.
Though the idea of space travel was discussed for hundreds of years, the field of rocketry got its first big boost in the early 20th century. On March 16, 1926, American professor and physicist Robert H. Goddard launched a liquid-fueled rocket for the first time in history. German scientists followed suit by unveiling the V-2 rocket as early as World War II. This ballistic missile became the first object to penetrate space on October 3, 1942. It wasn't long before the space race between the USSR and the United States began. As part of the Sputnik 1 mission, the Soviet Union launched the first man-made satellite to reach Earth's orbit on October 4, 1957. Less than a month later, Laika the dog was the first animal to reach Earth's orbit alive via Sputnik 2. The American government responded on July 29, 1958, by creating the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, or NASA. The next year, the USSR's Luna 2 became the first spacecraft to touch down on the moon.
Soviet Russia scores a dramatic victory in the exploration of space with the launching of the first rocket to hit the moon. An historic scientific feat simulated in these scenes, which show the course of the multi-stage rocket carrying the 858-pound Lunik.
The 1960s was an important period for space exploration. During that decade, humans entered space for the first time. With Vostok 1, cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin first visited outer space on April 12, 1961. Within a month, the Mercury Redstone 3 mission reached space with NASA astronaut Alan Shepard aboard. John Glenn became the first American to orbit the globe while piloting the Friendship 7 spacecraft on February 20, 1962.
Oh, that view is tremendous.
The space race intensified when Soviet Alexei Leonov performed the first spacewalk with the use of a tether after he exited the Voskhod 2 on March 18, 1965. However, 1969 was the milestone year in space exploration.
I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal, before this decade is out, of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth.
On July 21st, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were the first humans to walk on the moon during NASA's Apollo 11 mission.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
This urged the Soviets to accelerate their efforts over the next decade. They sent out 2 lunar rovers and launched the first space station, Salyut 1, in 1971. But by mid-decade, the space race ended. The two superpowers united to conduct scientific experiments for the Apollo-Soyuz test project.
Let me call to express my very great admiration for your hard work, your total dedication in preparing for this first joint flight.
As the 1980s began, the Americans launched the inaugural Space Shuttle flight. Columbia took off April 12, 1981. 2 years later, after launching in 1972, the Pioneer 10 became the first probe to travel beyond the planets of our solar system. The Soviets contributed in 1986 by sending the Mir space station into low Earth orbit. Cosmonaut Valery Polyakov spent a record-breaking 14 months aboard that craft in 1995. 3 years after that, the larger International Space Station launched as a satellite and research lab. Also during the 1990s, projects like the Hubble Space Telescope revealed detailed images of the universe. As the new millennium began, progress didn't slow. That was when the Near Shoemaker robotic space probe became the first to orbit and land on an asteroid. Space tourism became a reality in 2001 when millionaire and engineer Dennis Tito visited the ISS on the Expedition 2 spaceflight. Within 3 years, non-government funded human spaceflight began with Spaceship One. That spaceplane's technology was later licensed to Richard Branson's space tourism company, Virgin Galactic. 2004 also saw one of NASA's 2 Mars rovers, Opportunity, discover the first meteorite on another celestial body. Humans began searching for Earth-like planets outside our solar system by launching the Kepler Space Observatory in 2006. Though the space race was dominated by the US and Russia, China got involved in the early 2000s by sending its first astronaut into space and later by establishing a lunar exploration program. By 2011, NASA ended its space shuttle program by retiring the Discovery, Endeavour, and Atlantis orbiters.
And nose gear touchdown and the end of a historic journey. And to the ship that has led the way time and time again, we say farewell, Discovery.
That year, the U.S. also sent the Curiosity rover towards Mars. Meanwhile, Russia dispatched the biggest ever space telescope into orbit, the Spectre-R, in the hopes of learning more about outer space. Humans have long been fascinated with worlds beyond our own. Despite some grave tragedies, we will continue to marvel at the vast and limitless possibilities space exploration has to offer.